We're gonna start the BRZ today. We are going to start the BRZ today. I have made this work in a way that is not permanent because I'm still waiting on parts to come in, but I wanna get the car running. I wanna get the cooling system burped. I wanna get everything good to go on it. So what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Ooh. So let me give you a rundown of kind of what I've been doing. I did some stuff off camera, but I'll show you guys kind of where I'm at with this and what we're about to do. It's a BRZ. So I see today's video ending in two ways. I don't know yet. It's either gonna be very happy or it's gonna be very sad. So first up, I got everything kind of mocked up. I ditched the MAP catch cans. I'm literally just going to throw these in the trash. Nobody should run these. Actually, I'm gonna keep those filters because I might use those on a later project. They can just hang out there. So we ditched the MAP catch cans. I went back to the radium. So the way I have the radium set up right now is they're not venting back into the engine. They're venting to the atmosphere. So I've got this catch can mocked up to the PCV port underneath of the AC condenser on this side, goes up to the catch can, and then the top hose goes down underneath the car and it just vents to the atmosphere down there. This catch can works in a very similar way. It goes to the PCV port right behind the intake manifold. The hose follows down against the firewall and then vents down to the atmosphere down there. I made sure that when I was routing those lines, nothing was going to be blowing like hot air on like anything that shouldn't have hot air on it. I got the AC condenser bolted back up. I have a temporary solution for this blow off valve right now. I just have the T, or it's not even a T, I just have a small reducer that I kidnapped off the STI to make this work. Still waiting on fittings to be able to plumb those up permanently because I still need to run the boost gauge and the air fuel ratio gauge on this thing, but I want to get it running. Also, we did get our turbo downpipe gasket. I will link below where I got this one. It is a Vibrant 2.5 inch gasket. I went through a couple of them because as you guys saw in the last video, I bought this one and it was just too big, didn't fit. So next up for this is I need to get this downpipe bolted up and on. I need to get the O2 sensors off that old header down there, throw them on our new downpipe, get it on the car, get it all bolted up, then get the rest of the exhaust bolted up. After that, we are going to get the last, like the radiator stuff kind of hooked up here, the filler neck right here, get it filled up with coolant. We're gonna attempt to start the car. We're actually going to pull the crank position sensor, turn it over to build oil pressure inside of the turbo, just because I don't want to run the turbo dry. And I want to make sure that we have oil pressure building. One of you guys DM'd me on Instagram saying that you had the same oil pickup and oil pan, and that the oil pickup was too long and it was rubbing against the oil pan. So I do want to make sure that we are building oil pressure before even attempting to start the car. Bro, I don't even know where the crank position sensor is on this thing. I think it's over here. I think that might be the crank position sensor. I'm not sure. I have to find the crank position sensor on this still, but let me get this downpipe thrown on. We'll get the filler neck put on. We'll get coolant filled up in this guy. We'll disconnect the crank position sensor and hopefully we can start this thing today. We are now that much closer. So the exhaust is hooked up. I went ahead, I threw the turbo blanket on the downpipe. The downpipe's bolted up. We have both O2 sensors plugged in. The entire rest of the exhaust is hooked up at this point. Last thing to do now is fill the car up with coolant, but I found another issue with this setup, or this kit, is I don't have a hose small enough for the windshield, or the windshield washer, the overflow for the coolant. So I'm going to MacGyver something up to make this work so that way we can get this thing started, because I'm fully committed at this point. Everything is good to go for a temporary startup to get the car bled. I'm gonna tell you guys right now, the car's not going to be happy when we start it. We are running off of the stock tune for the time being. Just for now, just to start it. It'll be fine just to start it. I'm not going to swap in the new map sensor. I'm gonna leave the stock map sensor for now. I have the new 3-bar map sensor, but I'm not gonna put it in because it's gonna change a lot of stuff and the car's going to freak out. So we'll leave that one in. We will not get into positive pressure with the turbo. We're just gonna let it idle in vacuum. As long as it's in vacuum, should be just fine. It is gonna throw codes for the deleted evap and probably for a vacuum leak for the PCV system since we're venting those to the atmosphere. So let me figure something out for this setup right here. I just need a hose to go from there to there. I really don't like that like bend that it has right there. I might relocate that to somewhere else. That's where it's supposed to go, but I really don't like that location. I don't know, maybe I'll put it right there. I don't know. Give me like 5-10 minutes. I'm gonna play with this. We'll get it set up. We'll get it filled up with coolant. We'll get the car started. We will build oil pressure first and then get it started. But let's do this. Let's do this. I want to see it run. Okay, not the most ideal setup here. This is temporary, just to get the car started. I robbed this one off of the STI's old radiator. Since I'm keeping the radiator, I'm ditching the fans on the STI, obviously, but robbed this one for now to be able to do this. I really don't like the location of this. I'd rather like relocate it over here. So after I get the new core support, which I'm still waiting on, maybe we can relocate it over there or something like that. But let's get this thing filled up with coolant. Let's get some oil pressure built, and let's see if she'll start up, because that's what we want. This is always the terrifying moment. So I've got the crank position sensor disconnected. I've got the injector and fuel pump fuses pulled, so that way they're not going to be trying to shoot fuel into the cylinders. And we need to build oil pressure. So what we're going to do here is we're just going to go in, we're going to crank the car over a couple times. I'm then going to go down to the turbo drain port and pull the fitting off just enough to see if we have oil coming out. If we have oil coming out of the turbo, that means we have oil pressure built and we are in the clear to start the car. This always makes me nervous. I'm always scared I'm gonna blow up my cars. Always scared I'm gonna blow up my cars whenever I do this. So let's crank her over and see what we can get for oil pressure. I really feel like I shouldn't be this scared. I mean, I'm just building oil pressure right now, but I'm like freaked out for some reason. Let's open that up, come in here, make sure. All right, we're neutral. All right, let's put our key in. Fuel pump's not going, which is good. I'm gonna get this ready, put it to defrost, heat. Crank her over a couple times. Okay, nothing's happening. Okay, now let's try this. There we go, now we have lights. All right, let's go see if we have oil pressure. Do you ever just feel like your life is a joke? Like my life actually feels like a joke at this point. I haven't even checked oil pressure and I found a new problem. New problem has emerged. Oh my God, we're gonna start the car briefly today, but this is my life right now. This is literally my life. I was getting ready to go under the car to check oil pressure and see that right there? That wasn't there a minute ago. So I came up here and I looked, and right back there, we've got a nice little indentation from our nice AC condenser stabbing into the radiator. So I have to order a new radiator now, which, God, I'm so annoyed with doing this crap. Like, why? Why? I should just delete AC. AC is the stupidest thing to have in any car. That's extremely annoying. I already know when I go to start the car, it's just going to shoot pressure out of there. So I have to get a new radiator ordered today, which is just not in the budget, but I don't really have a choice at this point to order one. So I'll get a radiator ordered today. I'll swap over to another Koyo, even though this is a Koyo radiator. So let me pull the oil drain line off the turbo. Let me see if we have pressure. If we do, we'll start the car real quick. I just want to hear it at this point, and I'll fix that issue when I get a new radiator in. So even though I'm incredibly bummed about this, we do have oil pressure. There is a small puddle of oil down there. I don't really know it. Yeah, right there. We have a small puddle of oil. So I'm gonna turn it over one or two more times to get oil pressure built a little bit more, because I just pulled the feed line off the turbo just to make sure that oil pressure was coming out. It was a little easier just to get to the feed line than it was the drain. So I'm gonna crank it over one or two more times. We're gonna start the car briefly, but I already know with that coolant leak, it's just gonna shoot coolant everywhere. So I just want to hear the car. We'll start it, we'll turn it off, and we'll assess from there, because I don't even know anymore. All right, I'm gonna crank it over once or twice, and we'll start her up. Okay, I feel confident that we have oil pressure. Let me reconnect the crankcase, crank position sensor, if I can even plug it in. Like, bro, just go in your home. All right, guys, one of two things is gonna happen. It's either gonna shoot coolant everywhere from the front of the radiator, or it won't start. So let's see what happens. Holy shit! That's very smoky though. That was very smoky. And smells awful. I'm guessing that was the turbo blanket. Oh, that smells terrible. Let me pull that turbo blanket off. We'll put that back on later. That smelled like straight butthole. It started though. That's good progress. Where's the clippy doodads? Clippy doodads. Oh dude, 10 out of 10. I think that was the turbo blanket that smells like crap. Oh, 10 out of 10. Turbo blanket. Smells like poop. Oh, it was all burnt oil from the turbo. The coolant puddle didn't get any larger. I still don't trust that. Okay, I think for the most part, I can start it again. It was smoking pretty bad because of the turbo blanket and the spilt oil from the oil feed, so let's try turning it on again. It smells absolutely awful, but it's running. Is our coolant pee getting bigger? Not necessarily. I'm gonna let it idle for a minute. I can't really do anything with the coolant that's already in it. It's not like I can reuse it, so I'm just gonna let it idle, see what happens, and see if it's good. It's running! Definitely need to fix the radiator because it's definitely peeing. So I'll have to order a new one tonight, but I want to let the car idle for a minute with the coolant that's in it. I'll keep a close eye on the coolant gauge in there just to make sure nothing negative is happening, but hey, progress you guys, progress. That'll be our coolant bucket, I guess. Hold up, my zipper's down. Whoop. So let's recap here. I'm pumped that the BRZ started. I'm very excited that it started and that it's running. I'm pretty annoyed the fact that the radiator got damaged. It's no one's fault but my own. So I will order a new radiator tonight. I really didn't want to have to because I still have to pay out front some more. But it is what it is at this point, so I'll get the new radiator ordered tonight. I'll see if I can find a slimmer one than the Koyo just to give us a little more room between the turbo setup and where the fans and the radiator sit. But the fact that it's peeing out of the front of the radiator, we just can't have that. It's gonna blow up at some point, it's gonna overheat. And what are we doing? And the fact that the radiator's just peeing everywhere means that it's just not gonna be reliable to drive around with it just leaking coolant everywhere. It's just not even feasible to do. So I'll get that one ordered tonight. We should get it hopefully mid next week as long as they're not on back order, which I'm really hoping they're not. Someone has to have a BRZ radiator, whether it's Mishimoto or Koyo. I would prefer one, or CSF. I don't even care who makes it as long as it's thinner than the one that I have. Good to go. On the positive side, I am pumped. I'm super pumped that the car started. It sounds very rough right now because, like I said, the stock tune is on it. I just wanted to get it started, hear it, see what it sounded like, make sure everything was running properly, and it is. Everything is running solid. We have no leaks anywhere aside from the radiator, but that is just a weird leak to have. So, here we sit with the broken BRZ some more. This thing has become incredibly annoying to deal with, but we will get it running properly. So that's all I got for you guys on this one. I made a promise that we'd start the car today. Like I said at the beginning of the video, I didn't know if it was gonna be a happy moment or a sad moment, so right now it's just kind of mixed feelings with the issues that we're having, but we'll push through and still get it running properly. So if you guys like the video, you know what to do. Go ahead, hit that like button and turn it blue like the coolant reservoir on the Subaru. And if you're not already subscribed to the channel, hit your boy up one of these corners. No idea which one I will put it in quite yet, but with that, I will catch you guys in the next one with the broken BRZ. Peace out, homies.